I was like, what were you doing with my drapes? The drapes that were hanging in the apartment. I never got the answer to that. Hi, this is Kari from Sky Properties. Today's question is about how I started my property management business. I lived in an apartment where my roof was leaking nonstop. My lights didn't work. There was just all kinds of things wrong with my apartment, and the building manager was constantly saying, I'm gonna get to it, I'm gonna get to it. After several months, my family was coming for the holidays, and I wrote this letter. So I took it upon myself to write out everything that was wrong, how I thought they could be fixed and when, and why I thought that what they were doing was wrong, and this is how to correct it. And I hand delivered the letter to the management company, and he reads the letter and he's all, wow, do you want a job? That's literally how I got my apartment manager job. After that, I started working at the office, and then the bookkeeper started calling out sick a lot, and so he asked me to start going through that desk, and I found months of unreconciled financials, which I started opening and then reconciling. I took it upon myself to start solving those problems. I grew in the company. I became a receptionist, then the accountant, then the commercial manager of the landing in Westlake, and then after that I became the VP of operations, and the company kept growing and growing. They brought in a salesperson who started to do sales for properties that needed property management, but they needed it 2 years before they were actually getting property management. They tried to run it themselves, they'd run it into the ground, and then this salesperson was promising that our company could come in and solve all of their problems. I started to work on these properties and try to solve the problems, but there was no cash flow, no money, and I felt bad for these owners, and I knew I couldn't fix the problems, and he was promising them that I could, and it became impossible and frustrating. So I gave him a 6-month notice, and during that time period, one of the larger clients, when I told him I was quitting, he went to the company I worked for and said, if she's going, I'm going. She's the only person that's been paying attention to any of my accounts. And so the owner of the company I worked for came to me and said, Kari, if you leave, Sam's leaving, you two should really sit down and talk. I went and talked to Sam Rand and his wife, and we had a great conversation. He really wanted to train me as an owner of a building so that I could manage like an owner of a building rather than as a third-party property management company. And so that's how I started my company. It was a perfect opportunity for me because I was a new mother who didn't want to put my child in daycare, and I could also work and do these duties as an on-site manager and also be a mom.